finger. I believe should be back about 3 weeks. It's the timeline we're hoping for to where he can start practicing. So we'll see how that heals up.
Where was he at before the injury?
Just competing at right guard. I think he heard it the second day, so we weren't very far along. He heard it before we put pads on and stuff. So, but Josh had a good OTAs. He was in great shape. He's been working hard, and just had another unfortunate thing with his finger. Nothing he could have done about it. Tried to come out and practice with it, but it kept popping out, and that was going to continue to happen. So we had to make a decision to get surgery.
Turan got a lot of snaps today with him in person out. What did you see from him today?
Just battling through everything. I'll see when I watch the tape. Did stick out a lot in practice to me, which usually means he had a pretty good practice from an O-line standpoint. So he's trying to battle too, just like Garnett was. We'd love those guys to push person to get better, or to push them to beat them out. So we got a lot of competition there, and we need a number of guys to step up.
Was there any indication on Lewis Moore's injury?
It was a growing type injury. They took him to get an MRI right now, so find out later today.
With D4 not being in the team drills, is that just
he was just talking about he was having a little knee tendonitis. He says it happens about every camp, then usually goes away. So he talked about that this morning. He went out there and it was bothering him throughout individuals, so we just pulled him.
Is that cause for concern? Do you just have to rest him and just monitor it?
Yeah, it doesn't. Talking to him, it doesn't seem like a cause for concern. You can tell usually when you talk to a player, and he says he's used to it. Something that happens to him about every camp. So he could have gone too, but we just didn't think it was necessary.
In that scenario, is Bosa the guy that fills in for Ford, and would that be what happens in the season if that were to occur?
Well, we'll see. It's so early. We're not even going there yet. We got 90 guys, so there's a lot of guys that fill in for Ford when he's out. When we got him rolling in and out, tons of different groups. It's not always the same group every time, so it's too early to go there.
How did you feel the offense did in the red zone drills?
So. Thought it was a pretty even match, some good, some bad. It's all scripted plays and stuff. It's scripted defenses, scripted offenses, so we're trying to get certain looks to go against stuff. We're not through our install. We're on the 5th day right now. That was our first red zone period, so we'll continue trying to do that almost every day. But I thought it was some good, some bad, pretty even match.
What are kind of the teaching points that you and Shane want to see from Jimmy during these first early stages of training camp?
Just being consistent, doing the same thing over and over, going through the progressions the same way, looking at plays the same way, not making the same mistake twice. When he does make a mistake, correcting it the next day, continuing to improve that way. Trying to knock certain things out or get one thing down. That's why we have basically offensively, we have an 8-day install, but hopefully we get each day, you don't have to go back on that. He gets it down before he leaves this building, and he did it through OTAs, but he couldn't do it always with an O-line and D-line, and now he's doing it for the second time, but there's an O-line and D-line out there, which makes it a lot easier to get those reps of play action stuff and keepers, and just continuing to get better.
Are the installs, is it new stuff, or is it stuff that he had, at the end of 17 and all of?
No, it's the same stuff. Yeah, same stuff.
Are you, more cautious than normal because of the injuries coming back from? Or is that you kind of doing what you normally do because he's back?
No, I'm not. We never let the quarterbacks get hit anyway, so nothing's different. He's out there practicing. Once the doctors tell you he's healthy, you talk to the guy, he's healthy, then you let him go. We're never going to let a guy hit him and stuff like that. So we'll see how he does in the games, and we'll make those decisions accordingly when it gets closer to those games.
That's easy for you to just put that out of your mind, all right, I'm not thinking about that anymore. He's just on the field, he's good, or are you like, no?
I am human. It's somewhere in there, but it's not something I can control. So I try not to sit here and have anxiety or freak out about stuff that I can't control. So when that stuff happens, you just deal with it. Try to move on.
How do you feel his chemistry is growing with the wide receivers? Since he's been out now, you've got a couple padded practices in.
Yeah, I think they're working through a lot, and I think it's continuing to grow. We've added a number of new guys in there. We got some rookies, brought in a free agent. And the guys are competing. I think we have the most depth and the hardest competition we've had at receiver since we've gotten here. It's taken a while to get it this way, and we added some young guys last year that contributed, and we're bringing in some new young guys who are making those guys better, pushing them, or trying to take their jobs. So there's been some great competition out there, rotating all of them. So Jimmy's got to work with all of them, not just a first or second group. So I think it's been good with him and the receivers and the other two quarterbacks also. So it's going to be a fun battle to watch as this camp goes, and we'll see how it plays out.
We've seen Pettis and Sherman kind of matched up a lot. Do you think, looks like that would be a good way for Pettis to really kind of grow and mature.
Yeah, they. I mean, we don't do that on purpose. I mean, they're all battling. They'll have a lot of matchups throughout camp. Pettis and Okello have been going at it a lot too. So all those guys have been competing. But when you got a guy like Sherm, I mean, he's always great to go against because we know he's talented, but he's also smart. There's not much he hasn't seen. So you can't tip your routes. You can't be lazy in anything. You got to be extremely detailed because if you're not detailed in what you do, he'll get you.
Do you have any early takeaways from your new punter?
Looks like it's going pretty high. I don't have a clock out there, but it looked like the hang time was pretty good, and he's been doing a good job. Yeah, we like the guy. He's fitting in great, even being an Aussie. Guys are getting used to it, and he's a funny dude, and he's done a good job at practice.
I had 2 punts that were 5 seconds.
That's pretty good then. All right, that's what I thought.
Trey Boston signed with the Panthers today. Some people were connecting him to you guys. Was he on your radar at all, and how comfortable do you feel with the team's safety depth?
I mean, anytime you have guys go out, just like we did Jimmy Ward, I mean, there's always issues. But we have guys on our team. You can't just sit there and stockpile players. I mean, there's 90, so you want to bring one in, another one's got to get cut. And if you want to pay another guy, then you got to think of another guy who you're not going to pay. So we would love to bring in safety after safety and load up every position and feel just so comfortable. But injuries are part of this game, and you put your roster together, and then you got to deal with that stuff when it happens. And if you do get injuries, you hope guys are out there like that. Obviously, he got taken up, but there's still guys. But we like the guys in here, and hopefully we can get Jimmy back here soon and get a little bit more depth there, and some of these young guys can step up.
Mike Person, obviously you brought him in last spring for a reason. You had a history, but did he, I guess, surprise you in any way or exceed whatever expectations you may have had with the way he played last year?
Yes, definitely. You know, Mike was great for us for the year we had him in Atlanta. He played center then. I think he got let go in the season the next year. And then we had a workout, I think before the draft. And we worked out 3 guys, and he was in best shape, had a history with them, always liked Mike a lot too. And then when he got here, he was better now than I think he was even there. I mean, he's very versatile. We brought him in because he can back up all 3 positions. He's even played tackle in his career. And then when he got his opportunity last year, he played very well. I mean, and he also played hurt throughout the whole year. So he's a very reliable guy, a guy you know is going to be there day in and day out. And we feel very fortunate that we kind of fell into him last year. And he's helped us a lot. And but I hope guys are pushing him, trying to take that job from him too. But he's not an easy guy to do that to.
Has the running back rotation or pecking order clarified itself in your mind?
No, because Jed hasn't even been out there. You know, Breida's finally, you know, he missed all of OTAs, and he's getting his legs back, and he's looking good. And Tevin's been going, and then we lost Jeff a couple days ago with a calf injury, so he's going to be out for about 1 to 2 weeks. So I think we had 4 guys out there today. We've been trying to rotate them. That'll play out as it goes, and you know, we've been letting Tevin and Breida go mainly with the first team. But Raheem's getting in there too, so no, we're not even trying to think about that yet.
You need to bring somebody else in there, given Wilson and McKinnon not practicing.
Yeah, it depends on how long the stuff goes. You know, how long Jet's out, how long Wilson's going to be out. We would love to bring someone in, but in order to bring someone in, we got to cut someone. So we got a lot of guys here we like too. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out. But you'd always like to not have to cut someone just to bring in someone for legs. Hopefully, we'll get Jeff back sooner than later.
I was going to ask about that. I mean, is there any update on his status when you might bring him back?
I think 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, so I think I think this first game versus Dallas might be tough.
The idea to create specific roles for each running back, or have a rotation of running backs who do it all? They do it all.
Oh, you need guys who can do it all. I mean, we always think of roles and stuff. We always, I mean, and all those guys have their traits, and we try to put those in on stuff. But we also don't just give those plays at this time of year to the guys who are best at it. We know the guys that we like on certain plays, but we also know there's a chance those guys can get hurt. So you also give those plays to people who might not be as good at it, trying to get them better at it so you can overcome an injury. So we're really having all of them do everything, and we'll know what we want them to do when it gets closer.
I asked about McKinnon.
McKinnon.
I think
Sorry,
you gave
I was
me
thinking
the
about Jeff.
timetable.
Yeah, McKinnon. We're not going to put him in these 4 days, in this 4-day block. Then we'll get a day off, and then we'll reassess it the next one. But we're hoping to get him back in that next set of blocks.
Are you talking about, I mean, you said that even if a guy comes off PUP, he's not necessarily going to practice.
Right.
So you're saying he'll stay off on PUP through this block?
Yes.
What did you see out of you did a lot of work inside the 10 today, whether it was one-on-ones with receivers and DBs and the red zone. What do you want to see out of those drills besides scoring touchdowns?
Everything gets tighter down there, so it's much harder. It's harder to get open. You don't have as much time. Guys can squat on things. Today was the first day going in there, so everything's scripted. We just wanted to introduce it to them. We chose to do the red zone routes because that's also a way you can save legs without asking them to go slower or not go as hard because the routes are just naturally shorter down there. So that's why we did that. And then we just finished with the last period there of red zone, but. You got to have a lot more detail down there. The main thing when you get down there is that you end with points. Everyone wants to end with a touchdown, but you better make sure you at least end with a field goal. So the last thing you want to see are turnovers, and that's the main thing we're trying to do is not get turnovers, not get penalties. I think we've struggled with penalties down there in our 2 years here, and when you get a penalty, especially a turnover, you go back and it's very hard to score. So just trying to clean things up down there and be a little more detailed in what we do.
You've added some size too at receiver, even tight end with Toilolo. I mean, I know that you've said that size isn't always the solution to red zone issues, but does that help to have a Jordan Matthews and a Jalen Hurd on the team now?
Yeah, if guys are big and they have strong hands, then it really helps. I mean, they got to have good hands. They got to have ball skills. Anytime it's hard down there to get guys that's open, especially versus zones because the zones are all smaller, and then versus man, you don't really have to defend the go route. So guys squat on you, and when they squat on you, they can hold you, and it's hard to get away from that holding, and it doesn't always get called. So when you do have a bigger guy, they can defeat holding, but it's going to depend on their ball skills and how much they can do that. And I think we got some guys with size who do have ball skills, so I expect some of those guys to help us down there this year.
Do you see defensive backs when it is tight like that do more, get away with more holding in those situations?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's coached. If you don't coach it, that's not a good decision. It's a lot easier to hold down there.
Dante Pettis said a few days ago that Richard Sherman would hold him accountable when he was matched up against him. If he didn't go hard enough or run a good enough route, he would call him out right there and there. How important is it as a coach to know you have players out there that'll do that?
Extremely important. I mean, I don't think it becomes real until the players hold each other accountable. I mean, the coaches can sit there and yell all day, but you got a good team when you don't have to do that. When the other guys are going to hold them accountable, they're going to set the standard. When a coach is always having to do that, you got to do it at first, and they got to learn what you want. But if you have to continue to do that over and over, you're usually in trouble.
All right.
Thanks, guys.